This is Q66 to Flushing Main Street Station. Next stop, 28th Street and Queens Plaza South. Transfers available to Q39, Q60, Q67, Q69, Q100 Limited, Q101 and Q102. This stop is 28th Street and Queens Plaza South. Next stop, 21st Street and Queens Plaza North. Transfers available to Q69 and Q102. This stop is 21st Street and Queens Plaza North. Next stop, 21st Street and 41st Avenue. Transfers available to the F train, Q100 Limited and Q103. This stop is 21st Street and 41st Avenue. Next stop, 21st Street and 37th Avenue. This stop is 21st Street and 37th Avenue. Next stop, 21st Street and 35th Avenue. Transfer available to Q69. This stop is 21st Street and 35th Avenue. Next stop, 35th Avenue and Crescent Street. This stop is 35th Avenue and Crescent Street. Next stop, 35th Avenue and 31st Street. Transfers available to the N and W trains in Q102. This stop is 35th Avenue and 31st Street. Next stop, 35th Avenue and 35th Street. This stop is 35th Avenue and 35th Street. Next stop, 35th Avenue and Steinway Street. Transfers available to the M and R trains in Q101. This stop is 35th Avenue and Steinway Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 42nd Place. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 42nd Place. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 48th Street. Transfer available to Q104. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 48th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and Woodside Avenue. This stop is Northern Boulevard and Woodside Avenue. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 54th Street. Transfer available to Q18. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 54th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 60th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 60th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 69th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 69th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 74th Street. Transfer available to Q47. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 74th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 78th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 78th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 82nd Street. Transfer available to Q33. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 82nd Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 85th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 85th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 89th Street. Transfer available to Q49. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 89th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and Junction Boulevard. Transfer available to Q72. This stop is Northern Boulevard and Junction Boulevard. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 97th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 97th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 101st Street. Transfer available to Q23. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 101st Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 105th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 105th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 108th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 108th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 114th Street. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 114th Street. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and 126th Place. Transfer available to Q19. This stop is Northern Boulevard and 126th Place. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and Main Street. Transfers available to Q19, Q25, Q34, Q50 Limited and Q65. This stop is Northern Boulevard and Main Street. Next stop, 39th Avenue and Main Street. Transfers available to the 7 train, Q19 and Q50 Limited. This stop is 39th Avenue and Main Street. This is Q66 to Flushing Main Street Station. Please exit through the rear door.